Hey Ken, I thought I'd try recording a session with this media encoder software that seems to be pretty good. I haven't used it much. I've tried other screen capture programs, but they make gigantic files, even though you'd think with nothing happening on the screen the compression would be outrageous, but it doesn't seem to work very well. I guess they're expecting video, but this one is more geared toward screen capture. It's from Microsoft. So let me begin, start a new project, and I'll base it off that clean form template that I made before, as you recall. I'll just call it drag test, something unimaginative like that. And there we have a bare program. I don't know why it doesn't let me open. It's a double click anyway. Figured that out later. So that's it. It's a program that has a main. You're used to this by now. Runs a new form. There's our form class, the form, based on the system form. All it does is set the title bar, and that's it. And we can run it just to prove that it works. Oh, I put the window way over here. I'll drag it in view. Doesn't do anything, doesn't display anything, just has a title, that's it. That's because it's clean and bare. Okay, so what we're going to do is make a new class that we're going to be able to drag around on the screen. Let's see, let me think. I'm kind of thinking on the fly here. I'll call it Dragon, because that's kind of cute. And we'll base it on button. I think that's what you were doing before. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to base it on button because you don't really drag buttons around. And you're going to want to make your own controls. So let's go ahead and take a little bit of a leap and base this on user control. User control is what you will want to base your own controls on in the future, whether they be playing cards, dice, other widgets. So I guess get used to it. That's what I'm saying. Let's see. We need a constructor, I guess. Not really going to do anything in the constructor. I'm going to make a really simple object. But let's go ahead and put a constructor. And what we're going to do is override 3 or 4 methods of user control to capture the mouse. We're going to grab mouse down, mouse move, and mouse up, and also paint, and I'll show you that in a minute. So there'll be 4 total. Now, this is slightly different than what you did and that you explained in your email. You were actually subscribing to an event with your code. So in your form, you were subscribing to a buttons event. So when a button got clicked, it notified you, or notified the form of that click. That's one control looking in on another control. This is a bit different. We are the control that's getting the mouse down. We aren't subscribing to some other control, some other controls events. So we're going to override and basically override the behavior of what these events do in our own class. So I'm going to start with the paint. Now, you don't really know about protected, private, and public, so I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. This is just an incantation, I suppose, for now. On paint. Okay, I got it. Briefly, there's 3 levels of access. Actually, there's 4, but the main 3 are public. You can guess what that is. It's viewable outside the class. Protected, which is viewable. Well, let me go to private first. Private, which is private to the class and is also hidden from subclasses. Protected is visible to the class, not visible outside the class, but it's also visible to subclass objects. So those are the three levels. There's one more, but it's not important. Okay, so here it's calling the base on paint, but we're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna make our own little paint. We're just gonna draw a square or something, or a rectangle, and we're just gonna paint the whole control is gonna be painted some color. Now paint event args. One of the members of paint event args is the graphics context, which I like to call G. Let's see, it's g.graphics. Okay, so the graphics environment, I don't know if you've done much graphics programming in the so-called modern world, but basically it's an environment. It's a drawing surface, it's settings of fonts, pixel depth, all kinds of things about a bitmap that you're drawing on. So the graphics environment in C# has a bunch of stuff in it, but what we're interested right now are the graphics primitives for drawing things. So I'm going to call fill. Yeah, you can see all the goodies: fill ellipse, fill path. I'm just going to fill rectangle, and it wants a brush and a rectangle. You can see also there's four kinds of fill rectangle, but I'm just going to go with the simplest. We need a brush, so I'm going to do it's a solid brush. I happen to know you can get a solid one. Now brushes can be patterned and all that, so this is a solid one, just one solid color. And I'll make it, I don't know, blue, because that seems to be everybody's favorite color, but mine. And then we're going to paint the entire rectangle of the control, which is client rectangle. That is a property. I wish I had a bigger, let me get rid of this. You don't need to see all this over here. Get rid of this and buy a little screen real estate here. I don't want to make this window too big because it's already, believe it or not, this is like 1,000 pixels across. I just have a really big font. What was I saying? This client rectangle is a property of any control. User control is subclass from control, so it has this property. It's just the entire rectangle of the bounding box, if you will, of the control. So now that should actually do it right there. Now to put, when I say do it, I mean that will paint when this thing gets painted, when this control gets painted, it will paint its entire area blue. Now let's create one in our form like we normally do. So we have a dragon, new dragon. And we could put it somewhere. We could give it a size. Well, let's do that. Dragon dot size, new size. Let's just make it 50 by 50. And we can give it an initial location. Now I'm breaking my rule. My rule was going to be all size and location computations were going to go in the resize event, but I'm not going to do it this time, just because this is going to be so simple, I hope. Famous last words. So let's just put it at, I don't know, a little off the corner. Okay, does that compile? Compiles, and I'm going to run it. And